What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of That's My Time. I'm your host, Greg Idella. Very excited about today's show, but before I get there, something very important to me. I just got to list off my sponsors that help make this program possible. First off is Quail Auto Sale. That's my family's business. We're in Albany, New York, and this is our 82nd year. We're very blessed and thankful to the community for this community and nationally that support small business and our business. So thank you to everyone out there. Also, Next Evolution Media. It's my friend Bobby Chase. He does all the video work for me, a lot of filming that you notice that I've been in over the past 12 years. And also, I'm located at one of my sponsors' headquarters. This is Novice Elite Sporting Clothing Company, located in Colony, New York. Look into them. They're really doing great things nationally with National League Football, National Football League, MLB, colleges, high school. It's crushing, and it's all happening out of the capital region. So we're all very blessed, and I am as well. All right. That said, moving along to my guest today, I'm very excited to have this guest. I met him years ago. We're actually bartenders for a charity event, and I've been following his career. We see each other from time to time. He's doing great things in the capital region, especially across the river in Rensselaer County. Please welcome Rensselaer County Executive Stephen McLaughlin. Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Greg. It's good to be here. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad to have you here. You're doing great things, and it's just I'm just in awe of it because we're going to get into a bunch of stuff, but it's just you're really blowing everyone out of the water. I have to admit it, which I think is great. And in fact, I mean, check this out. This is great too. My father was out, and he said, "Oh, I know you're going to be talking to Steve, and this is the summer activity guide, right?" And
Yeah.
I got to say, so we were flipping through this. Well, it's unbelievable. And I'm a big music, right? I play three instruments, and I play, go to a lot of shows, and there's so much to do. What you guys have going on in Rensselaer County, and a ton of free music. If anyone says that they're bored in your county, uh, they are losing their mind. So I want to congratulate you on that because what I hear about from my friends who own businesses over in the Troy area, they really like working with you because I think you support them, people and the businesses. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. That's a big part of why I ever got into politics was to be pro business because everything revolves around the economy at any level. When I was in the state assembly, I was blessed to be one of the SBA, the New York Business Council Member of the Year type of award. I got that a couple of times. Always pro business. It's the backbone of everything. And so much attention gets paid to big businesses, and they're super important. But they're not more important than our small businesses. You're in one right now, not so small, but it's not an Amazon, let's say, but it's
That's right.
vitally important to the community. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really pleased that we're. It's just part of who I am is to be pro business, and just for like that activity guide, that's
Mhm.
all about not only giving people something to do so that they have to know what's out there, but I know this and you know this when they go to that concert they may be stopping for dinner, they may be getting gas or groceries. So we're going to get that economic activity off of that, what I call the economic churn. It goes around and around and around. So yeah, it's a big part of what we do.
Yeah, it's great, and I know it's well received. And straight up, it's just like everyone in life. I'm not liked by certain people. You're not liked by certain people, but damn it, you do a great job of supporting what's important to me growing up around a small business, and you show up. So just a quick brief bio that I just want to give the audience. So I know you're originally from Boston. You're a commercial pilot. That sort of breaks apart with September 11th. Then you go into banking, right? And then from banking, then you start getting into politics. So you're elected assembly from 2011 to 2017, and in
Mhm.
2017, you're elected as the Rensselaer County Executive. Um, your jump from banking to politics, and there's politics in every business. I try to tell people this, even in my campaign. Like I could never do it. I go, but if you're passionate about something, especially people over party, you can make change. Your route and that transition from banking to politics.
Very interesting. Even going back to my airline pilot days, I have 12,000 hours of commercial flight time. There's politics on an airplane. You're dealing with with the person that you're flying with, you're dealing with the flight attendants, you're dealing with dispatch and crew scheduling and everything else, gate agents, the air traffic control system. There's politics and everything. So I actually think back to that a lot. I still do fly a little bit. And I still think back to those days and how that actually, I think, has served me in the political realm, was being trained as a pilot. And here's why. As a pilot, you are mission oriented. When you push back from the gate, you absolutely have to complete that mission safely, or else you're not coming home, and nobody else is either. So I brought that, even unintentionally, I brought that mindset to both banking and to politics, that this is the job, get the job done, finish the task. And I think sometimes folks that work with me or for me don't quite get my drive. That I just said, that's just the era, or it's just the industry I grew up with. You darn well better complete the task. That's so right. And then as far as banking, I lost my job after 9/11. How'd I end up in banking? Simple. I was flying for KeyBank before I went off to the airlines. So when 9/11 hit, I lost my job along with so many others in the industry. And I knew bankers. If I had been flying for an insurance company, I probably would have gone into insurance. But I knew Bob Curley and Jim Menzies and all these Tom Amell, all these great bankers. And I needed a job. So I went to them and said, I got 2 little kids. They want to eat like every day. I got to feed these kids. So I need something. And they put me to work. And no, I didn't know anything. I knew how to pay a mortgage. I didn't know how to do a mortgage or write a mortgage. They put me into mortgage banking. I had an MBA. And I got my MBA while at the bank. And they just said, just follow directions. Just do what they teach you to do. Well, I did that. I followed to the letter what they taught me to do. And I became top 10% in mortgage banking at Charter One Bank back then. And then just decided to run for office. And I don't know. I just ran back in 2007 because I was disgusted with what was going on. And not much has changed. There's still a lot of days where I'm disgusted. But I ran because I knew I could do a better job. But that wasn't saying much, because pretty much anybody could have done a better job than what we were getting out of the state legislature back then. I mean, budget was months and months late. The parks were closed. Everything was falling apart. I said, I'm running. And I didn't win. And the first time out was the Obama year. Very bad year to be a Republican. And I didn't win, but I did really good. I think I did the second best in New York State out of any challenger. Really hard to beat an incumbent as it is. So at that point, you have 2 choices, right? You either say, well, I gave it a good shot, or you teach your kids a lesson that if you want something, you don't quit. So I picked myself up. Kind of stinks to lose, no doubt. The phone doesn't ring when you lose. And I still remember the day after. It was about 33 degrees in November, and it was pouring rain in upstate New York. And I'm out there by myself picking up lawn signs. And, it's humbling, but it teaches you, like all adversity does, and all failure teaches you something. And failure is just another step to success. So I said, about 2 weeks later, I said, I'm running again. And I started up again, and I won. And long story short, last time I ran for state assembly, before I ran for county executive, I was a leading vote getter in the entire New York state legislature, in the whole state. Pretty good for a guy that, really started with nothing.
Yeah, no, it's really good, because you've got a hell of a story. You really do. And I want to get right into that, because I'm very, as the past 7 years, I've been involved in the scene in Albany politics, and from the outside. And then I had to get involved because of, murders and drugs and very incompetent elected officials. I'll say that through Albany County, and especially the city of Albany. I mean, not all of them. You can't. I don't lump everyone into the same, because that's impossible. You can't say all doctors are bad. But honestly, after the 7 years what I've been involved in, I'd say 98% just don't care when people ask me to surmise it. They just don't, especially on this side of the river. It's mind-boggling. Because what I like about you is, I'm a big person, the way I grew up, and where we are. I'm a big person about, I care more for people than party. All right. And you know the players on this side of the river, it's a democratic state. They honestly sometimes just loathe each other, but just for the sake of the party, they go along. And I don't think I just speak for myself. I think I speak for many, many, not even here, but Americans, that are just fed up with that. Like if you're in, regardless of the party, meet in the middle and get work done. Because because Albany County honestly seems to be the opposite. You are definitely more concerned with people, and especially what I liked about, and I want to hear more your explanation on it because I was following it, especially with the elderly during COVID.
Mm.
You took a stance, you took a lot of heat for it, but I was digging your stance because no one else was doing it. They were just acquiescing to what they thought the national narrative was. And you said, no, hold on a sec. Let's look at this pragmatically and how it should be within my county. Feel free to expand on that.
Yeah, so that was such an unbelievable time for all Americans. But as a county executive, we were dealing. You felt like you were the front lines every day, especially because we're dealing with what I would say is a sociopathic governor, Andrew Cuomo, who would hold these press conferences, and literally his staff would be shaking their heads, going, "What did he just say?" He would issue executive orders during a press conference. That's not how you do things. You tell your staff, "This is what I want to do." They get it written up. They were literally writing the press releases or the executive orders after he made his statement. So they were scrambling. That left us scrambling. There was such little communication between the state and the counties. And the counties do a lot. I mean, we run social services, the jails, the roads, and we do a ton of stuff. And to not have not only solid direction, we had schizophrenic direction. He was all over the place one day to the next.
Yeah.
And then when that March 25th order came out, infamous nursing home order, which may end up getting Andrew Cuomo indicted because he lied to Congress clearly, which is a crime. That March order came out literally that day. For those who don't know, we own and operate Van Rensselaer Manor. It's a fantastic nursing home. Not too many counties do. We do very successfully. When I read that order, I immediately called over to the director and said, we are never, ever going to take a positive COVID patient through that door. It's not going to happen. I will fire everybody. It's not going on. And part of that is, not only it was the right thing to do, clearly, but it's also like, how do you look yourself in the mirror? Like I read that, I said, this is insane. This is evil. You're inviting death in the door. And so I just simply refused to do it. And long story short, yeah, we got a lot of heat, typical Andrew Cuomo behavior. Of course, we had the quote surprise inspections over and over and over at the manor. They fined us $75,000 for nothing. And I said, well, I'm not going to pay it. It doesn't matter. I'm not paying it. Right. And we stood strong, but there were so many other examples. I mean, not only did we refuse that, we only lost 5 people to COVID at that nursing home, 4 of whom, God bless them, were already on hospice care. So they were in a very weakened state. And we did things that nobody else was doing. We stopped our staff from working at any other nursing home, which happens a lot in that industry. They will work from home to home to home, especially when they're owned by a big company. They'll move them around. I had said to them, I'll give you all the hours you want, but you can't work anywhere else, only here. We opened up visitation when the state was refusing that, which was, again, completely inhumane. People were dying of loneliness. So I said, well, the hell with you. We're opening it up. So we had a covered area outside. We set up plastic, which, again, was kind of a lot of window dressing that we had to do. But we let those folks visit with their families. And we're just real proud of what we did. And there was things that were going on, too. I'll tell you what. During the whole vaccination stuff, state wouldn't set up a vaccination site in Rensselaer County. I have 166,000 people in this county. The state wouldn't set one up. They gave Albany 2. So I said, fine, we'll do it ourselves. Because as I say all the time, leaders lead. So we did it ourselves. We set up a testing site, set up a vaccination site. And remember these days of, well, so-and-so's not on the list. I'm going to give you a great example of what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
One day, we were getting people in the back door all the time. I'll say that flat out. They weren't on the list. I didn't care. They needed to get their shots. If they want them. We also said this, that you're an American citizen. You make the decision on what's right for you. We are not dictating anything. We never had a mask mandate in this county, ever. I opened businesses when Cuomo said keep them shut. But this is an unbelievable story. Young man had muscular dystrophy. His mom's a nurse, so she's on Cuomo's magic list. His dad's a cop. He's on the list. This young man was not on the list, which is absurd. right?
Hmm.
Absolutely absurd. So mom and dad got the shot at the front door, and we got the kid in at the end of the day because each vial had a little bit of extra, and we would build up extra shots. And I really didn't care what Andrew Cuomo had to say. So
Yeah.
we were out there protecting people. We never say, what party are you? It's just, what do you need? How can we help?
100%. And I appreciate you saying that because that's exactly, I've been registered independent since I was 18. And I saw it then when I was 18. I go, you got to have some type of a middle ground, to where you're worried about people, not the party. It's people are dying and we got to try to protect our citizens. And that's why I think a lot of these elected officials forget why they even got involved. It just uh, fizzles out of their mind, and it's so vexing. And it's not just me. I hear it all the time from people, and New Yorkers are fed up, and on both sides.
Yeah.
They really are. And what I like about being involved in the county and doing the right thing for the people, I got to hand it and just switch gears a little bit. I got to hand it to you because what you've done. Okay, I'm a huge bug about this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've read up on you into where you've done 300 miles worth of paving roads over 7 years.
Mhm.
Okay. And when I have to, I go out that way to visit friends, like West Sand Lake and something. The roadways are nice. They're clean. I'm not making this up because you probably come across the river often. Over on this side, it's like driving on the moon. The city of Albany's a mess. The county's a mess. They're good people that work for the city and counties, but I don't think they're motivated properly. At least that's when I was going through my campaign and I have to meet with these unions. They're very demoralized. And to your point, leaders lead. They are not being led. They're just like show up. And Albany is what's sad about Albany is the elected officials care about moving up. That's all they care about. And if anyone wants to, you could disagree with me on that. I would love to debate anyone on that because I will personally take anyone on a walking field trip around Albany and show what happens when you don't care and you just think you're going to move up. Because you're an anomaly in this way. I'm a huge proponent of local people really getting involved, uh, and go to meetings and see what's being said at these, or possibly run for an office. You're an anomaly because you're from Boston originally, but you settled here with deep roots and you care. The other people in Albany, and I'm very vocal about this, are not from here. They're severe carpetbaggers and they have no deep roots to care. I would be happy if these guys would take care of the roads, but they don't. I know that
Yeah.
there's a lot of people happy about that. So please, speak your mind
Well,
on that.
it's such a great topic. Multiple points there. So the first thing I knew when we came in to office was our county facilities were a mess. They were outdated. They were behind the times. Nothing was done. Our roadways were a disgrace. And they used to say, they put an inch of pavement down. They'd say, paint it black, don't look back, because it looks good for a season. Then the plows tear it up and you're right back to square one. Uh, I knew, I guess instinctively, but maybe it's a little business sense. I knew that infrastructure is absolutely everything, along with being business friendly, but those go hand in hand. So I always say that the infrastructure is like the spine of your economy. It's like your spine of your body. If you have a healthy spine, healthy core, you're going to be in pretty good shape. If you're
Mhm.
not, you're going to struggle. And that's where we were, and that's where most counties are. Roads were a disgrace. The equipment was junk. Nothing had been done. Same problem. They were demoralized. The guys were demoralized. And some ladies, we have some great ladies working there too. So we
Yeah.
came in, and my very first focus, I had said, I'm going to repave all of these roads. We have 330 miles of roads in Rensselaer County. Said, I'm going to have them all done by the end of my second term, which is this year. So we're already on track. We'll get the rest of them done this year. That's every road that the county owns. Contrast that with some of the state roads. And by the way, I always say this: the DOT guys at the state actually do a really good job when they get
Yeah.
out there and
Yep.
they're turned loose on those roads. I have no complaint with state DOT. They're
Same.
very
Yep.
responsive. It's
Hmm.
just that they can only get to so many roads, right? So,
Right.
but when they're there, they do a super good job. No complaints with DOT.
Right.
DEC, a different answer, but DOT, they're terrific. So, but a lot more roads for the state. That being said, we focused heavily on that. We invested. We bought about $16 million worth of new highway equipment, all without debt. So they have brand new equipment. How good does it feel when you're driving a brand new car, or even when you just got your car washed? It just drives better, right?
Yeah.
So now they have new everything. We're buying a striper so that we can stripe our own roads, and then we can outsource that to the towns and cities, save them some money. So the net result of that, I firmly believe that because we rebuilt our infrastructure, our economy over here took off like a rocket. And when I came in office, we were about 85 million a year in sales tax. We are routinely now over 120 million. So what happened was we built up such a surplus. I've cut taxes 40% in 7 years.
I got that note. Yeah, go ahead.
So that's coming. But so not only were we lowering the taxes, well, what happens when you lower taxes? People have more money. They spend money. We get it in sales tax. Our sales tax goes through the roof. We had so much money that we had to spend it down because we actually had too much cash. You're not supposed to carry that much cash as a county. I mean, we're making like $7 million a year in interest. This is all while cutting taxes and repaving roads and redoing buildings, everything else. So I firmly believe, I just had this conversation earlier today, about 2 hours ago, that the infrastructure was the absolute key to everything. And I wish other counties would follow our lead on that. Rebuild your roads. It's what I told Peter Crummy when he got elected in Colony. I'm like, Peter, pave your roads. And I believe he's doing that, but it's everything is the roadways. Because here's why. You are like me and most people that are watching this. They don't ask their government for much. They don't need much. They just want and deserve something for their dollars, which in my opinion is good infrastructure.
Absolutely. Just do something. Like, and it's true. Like when you get in there and you have this power to wield, why not use it for good? They just keep taking. And it makes no sense. I often espoused during my campaign, and I'd said, with infrastructure and roads, because they're a mess in the city of Albany. It's in the counties, and it's in a tough way. If you can't pave them, then you have to put it off a year. Could you paint the lines on the street and create some order? Because everyone's just driving like it's a giant tarmac. It's all over the place. I feel bad. And this is why I feel bad. They act like, oh, it's no one, don't worry about it. Everyone knows where they're going. Like, no, this is a crossroads of very many different places to get to. It's not welcoming. It's not a clean look. I go across the river and I see what you've been doing and what my friends' businesses are doing. It's clean, it's inviting. It's perfectly imperfect. It's not perfect, but you're striving for that. And you're also allowing people to your point, Steve, is to feel like, hey, I'm getting something for my money with taxes, and I'm getting taxes back, which is incredible because you've cut taxes tremendously over the years, and you have a massive surplus, which you were discussing, and you're practically in hardly any debt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I hear and I want to let you speak on that, but when I hear, oh, this vexes me good. When I hear other counties saying we're going to bring in this outside source to bring us in and give us a write-up on what we're doing wrong or what we need to do to move forward. I've said this for years, and I'm friends with Peter Crummy. Go to different counties, have some humility, and say, hey, Steve, what did you do over there? Who'd you use? Go to Saratoga. My mother's family's from there. Saratoga's always knocking it out of the park. Schenectady's doing well. Troy. Albany's stuck. They can't get out of their own way. For the life of me, I honestly feel with what I know about you, when we've spoken over the years, and your vision, you have humility in the way of, hey, if that's working for them, how can we incorporate that so it betters the entire region? You agree with that?
It's so perfect because I approach it from a businessman's attitude, which a lot of people that grew up in politics or been in politics sometimes their whole life, they don't have any concept of the way a business operates. But I look at it from a business perspective that I'm the CEO. I have to minimize expenses, maximize my revenues, run it just like a business. It's a $355 million business at this point. And benchmark, take a look at what others are doing successful, steal their ideas, make them your own. Nobody's doing anything that unusual. There's a few things we've
Right.
done which we've led the nation in. We've been the first to do certain things, but some of those I've read stuff from around the country and said that's a great idea. Give you an example. At this point right now, along with the tax cuts and the roads and the new equipment, we've done $100 million worth of renovation of our county buildings because they were
Yeah.
desperately inadequate. And now you go into our buildings, they're professional, they're redone. I mean, 100 million, no joke. And I mean, 25 million in brand new senior centers because our senior centers were disgusting.
Mm,
Now they are phenomenal. I have a
yeah.
golf simulator and a movie theater. I got workout rooms. We have all these things. And people asked me today, I was giving a tour of the senior center because actually Dan McCoy's looking at doing some of what we've done. And we had some folks touring and they like, why did you do this? I said, well, here's why. Those seniors have been here their whole lives. Why? Who would ever want to go to a senior center that is dark and dreary? And the days of seniors eating a meal and playing bingo, they're over. Today's
Right.
senior is much more active.
Yeah.
So that's why we did it. And we had the money to do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't invest back in yourselves, which too many, even this county, I'm telling you, this county for the longest time was, oh, we're broke, we're poor, we don't have any money. You can't operate that way. You got to
Yeah.
operate like a winner. And the other thing is this, how could I, as the CEO of this corporation known as Rensselaer County, how could I, as a county executive, be out there being my biggest job as a cheerleader for this county, to bring businesses in, to grow our residency, to grow everything? How can I do that if I'm operating out of a dump of a county
Right.
building? You can't
Right.
do it.
Yeah, you
So
can't. And if you were touring today and someone says, "Why did you do this?" Apparently, they have blinders on. They can't see the bigger picture to what you just explained. They're the elderly of our community. They have wisdom. They deserve integrity. They deserve they deserve a fine, clean facility for them to continue with their life. And for someone that just come in and be, why are you doing this? I'm a huge proponent, like what you said earlier, Steve. It's the same thing, in my 24-year entertainment career. I'm traveling the country and playing shows. I perfected things, especially producing, by saying that doesn't work in clubs. This works, and I know I can meld the two together. If you're not out there doing that, you are just too much in your head,
yeah,
and you're way too narcissistic. I really like your approach to what you're doing, and I have spoken to elderly folks across the river that really appreciate what you're doing. Um, you know, to give them this continuation of a good life. So kudos to you with that.
thank you.
And you're welcome, because I think I'm a huge proponent of accountability. And you mentioned it before, like with the COVID, like I will fire all of you if you don't do this, or you do this and that and the other thing, because you're a team player, and that's where it really starts. What I like is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've read about, like, even your city trucks, they have GPS on them, yes?
Yeah, that was
Ye-
that was an early thing that we did. Yeah, for
Yeah,
a couple of reasons.
yeah,
Yeah, well, here's why. So, a couple of reasons. And one thing, as far as COVID and our seniors, I am fiercely protective of the people that I represent. I think
yeah.
Andrew Cuomo found that out. This
Mhm.
governor has found that out. If you
Sure.
mess with my people, and I view them all as my people,
Yeah,
I'm coming after you. That's
yeah,
why we hired all those prison guards that she fired.
yes.
You're gonna hurt my
That's good.
people. I'm gonna protect them. So that's part of my instinct, part of my job. The GPS, for example, that was done. It's funny how the way people view things. When we first did it, some of the employees were upset.
Mhm.
Uh, we didn't do it to track anybody. We did it for safety
Right.
because I have child protective out there. I have probation out there. I have all those folks out there. And we do want to know where they are, because let's say they're at a house way too long. If something doesn't make sense. There was a shot went off in Troy, went through the house with one of our child protective people in there
Yeah.
and hit the wall. We've put them all in bulletproof vests now. I wish I didn't have to do that, but we
Mhm.
did. But I want to know too, during the blizzard, does one of our plow trucks, sometimes they slide off of these mountainous roads. What if they tip over and our guy is hurt? And
Yeah.
we don't know about that for an hour or two. Now we know. Or the inevitable call that comes in where someone says, I haven't seen a plow since the Obama administration hasn't come by my house. And you go, well, actually, they were there 1 hour and 12 minutes ago, because we can look right at their address and say, the route takes 4 hours each way. They're going to be back at such and such a time. And the public goes, oh, wow. It's why we put in the pothole patrol. So if somebody calls in a pothole and says, hey, there's a pothole here, I want that thing filled within 24 hours. And I want a picture taken of it and sent back to the person that called it in, because that's just responsive government. That's just being a good steward of the people's money.
100%. And I'm glad to hear that. And it shows. It shows in the work that you're putting in, and the work that's come of it. I've sat down. McCoy's a family friend and a customer of ours, and we've had talks like you and I have had talks, and I'm like, look, if anything post COVID, the jig is up. The jig is up on a lot in life. This is the time that we can really set that ship straight. I really feel, stuff's going to come at you, but you can really get back on track, because this is where, it's a couple of the points and notes that you brought up is, I coined this term when I was in Central America in 2009, when I was doing a mission immersion trip. And, I looked back at the States. I was like, wow, we're really failing in open book tasks. And I saw that throughout COVID, because we're going to get into this fun stuff now. So, like, even with COVID and Cuomo, all right, here's where I knew it took a left turn, and it went all askew. When this guy's trying to sell a book when people are dying, I literally, I had it. I was like, this is ridiculous. This is so insensitive to what is really going on, and this guy wants to profit from it. And his people just backed him like, oh, no, this isn't wrong, or no, he has every right to do it. Really? Okay. So with that, and then I see one of I know you have a couple of friends who are like really close friends that you care about. We're going to talk about, one being Hochul and the other Letitia James, that I know that I know you hold in high regard. But here's the thing about, like, I'm going to say about on this side of the river with the county, okay? And this is no slight on Danny or anything, but it's more of like encouragement. Like, look, we want you to go out and do things. Be vocal. When Albany has become such a cesspool and such an embarrassment to when my grandfather, my family came from Sicily, Italy. They built here. It was a complete dichotomy of what it is now. My father's 86, coming into work every day. He's seen it come full circle. It's sad. When you've got the governor at the mansion, Cuomo and Hochul, you mean to tell me that you come out and see the streets of Albany and you can't pull the current mayor aside and be like, look, this is an embarrassment.
Right.
When that's not being played out in that manner, then you just know it's nefarious actions. It's just it's malevolent intent, and at the end of the day, they don't care. It's sad.
Well, I agree. Danny's a good friend of mine. I played in his golf tournament yesterday. He had his fundraising tournament.
Yeah.
People think, how do you two get along? We get along great. We smoke a cigar once a week or so.
I've been with you at events in the box at the arena in Albany, and everyone's hanging out and talking.
We get along just fine. I tell him he's wrong all the time. We just laugh. We have a good time. We agree to disagree on a lot of things. But I do, I think, and I will say this too, not to speak for Dan, but I know that he gets frustrated sometimes with some of the stuff that he's got to deal with. But you're right. When you said earlier about Cuomo, and you had mentioned earlier that a lot of politicians want to just move up, right? What did Cuomo do? He was eyeing a run for the presidency before the wheels came off. That's what that book was supposed to be about. That's what all his ridiculously stupid live press conferences every day, where I did one live every single day as well on Facebook. I was the only one answering questions from the public all day, every day. We would take live questions. Sometimes it'd be my friends goofing around, sending me questions. I could tell it was them, but we answered questions from people every day. And we went at it with common sense. We didn't go at it in a dictatorial fashion and say, you will wear a mask, you will do this. We said every day, be careful, not fearful. You're an American citizen. You make a decision about what's right for you and your family. Turns out we were right, and we were pilloried for it. We were just attacked for it over and over and over again. But when you're right, you're right. You have to have the courage of your convictions. And I don't say this flippantly.
Mhm.
I don't mean it to sound flippant. I don't care if I win or lose an election. And if I think that might be the secret to my success, such as it is
Yeah.
that I don't care. That doesn't mean that I don't want to win. Like
Right.
I wouldn't run if I didn't want to continue to serve. And
Hmm.
of course I want to win. But if I'm not basing what I mean by I don't care if I win or not is I'm not going to change who I am.
Right.
I'm not going to change my vision or my direction based on polling or an election. I'm
Yeah.
not doing it.
Yep.
And part of that, I think, is I do have another skill set. I do have the ability to put food on my table. I'm not beholden to this. I
Right.
mean, I saw it in the assembly where people would just sit there and they're just cashing checks. There's
Yep.
no passion, there's no drive. I would be getting up at 1 in the morning, beating the heck out of a bill. And they're like, "Oh, just let it go, let it go." I'm like, "No, I'm not letting it go. We're here to fight. We're here to do
Yeah.
this job, win
Mhm.
or lose. We're here to battle for our people." And I just never, I don't know. One thing is I despise people that are bullying other people, which
Mhm.
this state does like I've never seen in my life. And I despise the fact that the little guy oftentimes doesn't have a shot. And probably that's because what did I grow up with? I didn't grow up with anything. I mean, we're probably lower middle class and didn't know it.
Yeah.
My dad was a mailman. My mom worked for the post office. My dad died when I was 17 years old. So you learn a lot.
Yeah.
But I didn't. He was the first generation to go to college. My brothers and sisters and I. So I didn't come from any money. I didn't come from anything. I know what it's like to work. I was mowing lawns at 12 years old. Never stopped. So
Yeah.
I guess that's inbred. It's part of who we are. Is just work hard. It's all I ever tell kids. Work hard. Two things I'll tell kids: work hard, learn to hit the curve because life ain't fastballs. It's going to be all curveballs coming at you. You got to adjust.
Yeah, that's a great approach because it's so true. It's the same, the work ethic that we have, and even what we learned in college was great, but it doesn't beat the real life experience and the hardships of a small business USA. That all and I will say, well, mostly all elected officials say we care about small businesses. I
Yeah.
know that you go out and visit, and I had a video I posted last week about this mayoral campaign. And I'll say this to you quickly. It blew up. It just took off because all I did was this. The Albany Firemen's Fire Hall is a half block down from our
Mm-hmm.
business, and they're great. We've got a park there. They invite us over. Great guys. The candidates, same thing I had to do 4 years ago. During my campaign, you go and sit and talk, with all the unions and especially the fire department. 2 days, right? After 2 days, half block down the road, not one of those candidates stopped by to say hello.
Mm.
One, Steve, I had sat with 5 times last year and talked with. Okay, and he's come by, and I spoke with him. I spoke with that rep, or that yeah, I spoke with him. Who cares? Because it doesn't matter. I spoke with him after, and he wound up coming after, and we had a talk. Like this is the following week. The other three I'd never met before.
Mm.
Now, if you can't, and this is what I like about you, if you can't put yourself aside and be like, no, this is about business and taxpayers in our city, in our county that matter. And if you're not going to a half block down the road, state 30 seconds, hey, we've never met before. Can we schedule a meeting to come back? I'd love to hear from you. It's arrogance, and it's going to drive the city into a deeper abyss than it's already at. Because already the one candidate that believes is going to win, um, it's going to be like a left click fix. I'm like, honestly, for the city of Albany as its own entity, will take 25 years from now to be a functioning city, while it's already 20 years behind because they
Yeah.
won't allow, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
because of like no accountability and no guts. And this is what I wanted. I got a couple more things, and then I know you're a busy guy, and if you got a few more minutes, I just want to
I'm good.
give you a
I'm
couple more
good.
things. So what
Sure.
I love about you is accountability. You're approachable. When we talked a few weeks ago, you're like, Greg, just absolutely love to sit down and talk with you. And I love that because I know people want to hear about certain things, and you're accessible, and I like that. Um, let me ask you this, because people ask me this, and I'm an independent. I talk with everybody, because I'm about people, not party. Where is the GOP, not just in the region, but in New York State? I know
Yeah.
they exist, and I hope
Mhm.
it's growing bigger. I know, you've been very vocal on it. At least Stefanik has been big on it. But where are they? Because I meet with some legislators, and they're good guys.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why are you guys doing like a weekly Facebook Live? Where are your podcasts? Why are you not taking questions? It just seems inane
Yep.
and outdated.
No, I agree. I agree. And I've been preaching this, oh my gosh, for so long. I had said quite a few years ago, back when Chris Gibson was in office in
Mhm.
Congress, and I said to some pretty high up people in the party, I go, look, why don't you just have us going out on speaking tours? There's some of us that put sentences together pretty well and we're pretty engaging. And why don't you just send us around the state, whether that's me and Molinaro or Gibson or Elise? I don't even think Elise was on the scene yet. It's that far back. That never happened. And some of it is, as I said before, there's lots of people that are just go along to get along. I've had people say, literally, this got said to me one night in the floor of the assembly, don't rock the boat. I said, I'm not going to rock this boat. I'm going to burn this boat and we're going to build a new boat because this boat is sinking. And I've had people say, like I said earlier, just let it go, let it go. We're tired. I'm like, no, stop backing up. I preached this to the New York State Senate when they were in the majority. And I was saying, stop backing up. You've got to throw some punches back. And I don't obviously don't mean physically,
I know. Yeah.
but you've got to hit back on the other
Mhm.
side. They're wrong on so many issues. It's our job to debate them. And you keep backing up, you're going to run out of territory. You're going to go off the cliff. Sure enough, the next election cycle, they went off the cliff. They've never come back. Now we're starting to see some signs of hope out of Long Island. They've grown the party, which is great. But you see, to me, politics should be a rugby scrum. It should be a little bit this way, a little bit that way. Everybody's, going at it, just tug it, a little bit of tug of war back and forth, not let's run the field and let's destroy anybody we don't like. And that's far too much of what's happened. And I've always said, I believe that the advent or the increase of social media makes it virtually impossible or much tougher to build a relationship like Dan and I have across the river. That's few and far between anymore.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right now, I can remember being on the floor of the assembly debating a bill, and I'm watching on the iPad people twisting what I'm saying in very real time. And this is reporters doing it, not at
Mhm.
all what I had said, but right there. So the Tip O'Neill, I go back to the Tip O'Neill Reagan
Oh,
days.
sure. Mhm.
They'd have a beer at the end of the day at the White House, and they'd probably disagree and they'd probably joke around a little bit, but there's probably some pointed discussions back and forth. But at the end of the day, it's a little bit, everybody gets a little bit. Right now, we have too much attitude of people saying, I'm going to absolutely destroy you. I mean, I've lived through it with
Right.
some of the aforementioned people,
Yeah.
that not with Dan. I
No, I know
mean,
what you're saying.
Tish
Yeah.
James, for example, just trying
Yeah.
to destroy people.
And that's it. I mean, let's get right into that, because you are anyone who is watching is not familiar with Steve McLaughlin Twitter and his vocal um, outings of sort against the governor and the AG. It's worth taking a note to, because you know you put it out there and say it like it is, and that's what people want. I mean, there's my entire life. People, it's always behind closed doors. Oh, we wish it. We'll say something.
Right.
Well, have the courage, like you say, to get out there, and you take your job seriously. People voted you in. I will stand up for them. Your the Hochul is. I really want to. I don't want to put words in your mouth. It's because honestly, I have I she's done nothing for me as a governor. I mean, just literally nothing. And I will say this to people who like or don't like me and stuff, is because I'm seeing a different sector in Albany. in the inner city every single day. Okay. And it goes back to what I said before. If this governor lives at the mansion and cannot for one moment pull the mayor aside and be like, look, this is an embarrassment, then it's a big scam. And it's the same with Tisha James. She's in there, and now it's the same old adage that people are tired of. Oh, you got a little bit of power, and now you just want to have retribution, and then they cry the blues. It's the people that they seem to be the people that want the benefit of the doubt. They don't give it, and I like when you give it back to them.
Yeah, well, as far as the governor, I was down in Albany the other day and came up through the tunnel by the legislative office building. You cut through the tunnel and you take the right to go like you're going back to the Capitol. Those roads are an absolute disgrace. They're an embarrassment. I don't know how Kathy Sheehan looks herself in the mirror. And if I'm the governor, I'm saying, look at within a 1 square mile of this Capitol, I want it looking. It should be much more than that, of course. But you were coming off 787 down the ramp off of 87, and it's a war zone when you get off that Bethlehem. They finally paved that after about 5 years. That's an embarrassment because, Governor, guess what? You land in your helicopter right down the road and you get in your SUV convoy and you're bouncing over those roads and you're okay with that? Yeah. Ridiculous. So that's one thing. I'd be embarrassed if I was the mayor. I think I'll slay a fat eye. I mean, I think she's the worst retail politician I've ever seen in my life.
I agree with that.
She doesn't like people.
No, she doesn't. I've extended the olive branch. People told me to attack her during my campaign. I go, no, one, I wasn't raised that way. B, it's not going to get me anywhere. C, it's not worth it because they are just so thick-headed. She's a smart woman. She's just incompetent.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. The jig is up. People who are listening. A lot of Dems here, especially with the governor and the mayor of Albany, they thought Harris was going to win, and they were just leaving.
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole veil lifted. That's it right there. And now they're stuck, and they realize, oh, my gosh, we've got nothing, and they don't. They have nothing to show for it. They don't stand up for the city, the residents, the businesses, nothing.
And their whole approach to things is why I'm not a leftist or a Democrat. Their whole approach and philosophy is about making people more dependent on government, not less. And my approach, and I would hope most of the GOP's approach, is it's a teach a man to fish, give a man a fish philosophy. My approach is, look, we're going to be there to help you when you need help. But I always say this. I don't believe in safety nets at all because nets trap you. I believe in a safety ladder so that you can climb the rungs up and out. There's nobody has ever been entitled out of poverty. The only thing that works, the only thing that will ever work is hard work because it leads to success. And when you have a philosophy and an ideology, and I say it's an evil ideology, that you are trapping people, you're holding them down. And where's the upside, not only for the person, but where's the upside for the country or the state in that environment? You have a bunch of people with their hand out. That isn't at all going to beget success. That's my philosophy of things. And they're clearly Kathy Hochul, Andrew Cuomo, the entire left and they've gone so far left. That's what the insanity is. They have to come back to the middle. But stop making people dependent on handouts. It makes people fall apart.
Yeah. Well, they do that because it's a narcotic government, right? It keeps giving and giving and giving, and it enables people, but it doesn't help them. And again, anyone who wants to take a few, I'd gladly walk anyone around parts of Albany and show you, just exactly what we're talking about here. And it's a shame because there's no empowerment, there's no encouragement, and they're apparitions. There's no accountability. No one holds them accountable. There's no media that holds them accountable here. Certainly, hey, we're in and we're going to do what we want to do. So,
the way, I look at things like if I ever had, and I'm not saying this day may come where I have no choice, but if I ever had to raise taxes, even 1%, I would feel horrible. I would actually feel that and say, I don't want to do this. We keep looking for ways to cut and cut and cut while increasing services. We haven't cut a single thing as far as services go. But I would actually take it to heart. I'd be like, man, I failed. I gotta raise taxes. Not saying that day may not come. I hope it doesn't come. So far, we've had great success. But I think part of what I've done is I'll say what the guy sitting at the bar having a beer will say. I'll just do it with a microphone, and I'll do it on Twitter, and I
Yeah.
don't care. And
Right.
and that, people say, "Oh my God, Steve's controversial." How controversial am I when I got 65% of the vote last time I ran for reelection, and I was the leading vote getter last time I ran for the state assembly? Maybe my message is the right message, that speak your mind, tell the truth, because we're outnumbered in this county by 8,000, but yet
Yeah.
I got 65% of the vote. That's why I get crossover votes, because there's plenty of Democrats that go, I know you're telling me the truth. I might not agree with everything you say, but I know you're telling me the truth, and I know you're fighting for me, and I'm voting for you.
Right. And I think, and to that point, I think what's very important, I'm this way, and I think you are too. And I think most humans want to feel this way because most humans will give the benefit of the doubt with people that if you don't know the answer to someone's question, you say, give me a day or two,
Yeah.
let me find out for you, I'll get back to you. Most people will love that. Instead, these guys just force feed lies, and it just makes that ball of twine going down the road just bigger and bigger and bigger and way out of control, and you cannot harness it back.
No.
So
And the other thing, I know this, I learned this doing mortgages. Not that I needed to learn it doing mortgages, but I figured it out really, really quickly doing mortgages. If I tell the truth, I don't ever have to think about what I said, because I know it's the truth. So
right,
when somebody would come back to you and say, you said this, I'm like, I never say that. I have the exact same thing that I tell every borrower. So I didn't say that. That's not what I do. And I knew that to be true, because that's all I knew to do was just tell the truth. Same thing in politics. If you don't know, you don't know. If you disagree with someone, you disagree with them. I've had
that's right.
lobbyists come in back in the assembly days. I want you to vote for this and this. I'm like, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not voting for it. I'm not doing it. And they're like, wow, that's refreshing. Thanks for telling us the truth.
Yeah,
Most politicians would sit there and BS them for 45 minutes, and then they go on the floor and stab them in the back. I don't stab anybody in the back. If I'm coming at you, I'm coming right at you, and I'm going to
right.
tell you whether I agree or disagree.
Yeah.
And there's really no gray.
No, and that's the way it should be. We're adults. This is the arena that, and the job you signed up for. Be a big boy or big girl and get to work.
Yeah.
Get to work. Well, this was great. I really appreciate your time, Steve. This is a great chat. It's always great seeing you and chatting and getting your insight. Know that there's a huge community. I know on your side of the river and over on this side of the river too that look to you and say, hey, he's doing it. Maybe we can incorporate things here. And then I feel within the region, Rensselaer, Albany, Schenectady, Troy, Saratoga, all these community cities, we have something unique here, a great region. And I think if we really all start banding together and characterize ourselves as, look, we're caring community, just the sky's the limit. The sky's
Yeah.
the limit. I feel that way.
Yep.
Do you want to, I know that there was hints. Do you want to talk about a hint about other work that you might be taking on within the state? Or we can leave that for people to guess, and we'll see. We'll see. We'll pay attention to what Steve McLaughlin
Yeah, you
has
never
to
know. As
say.
I say, leaders lead and believe in Steve. That's my
No, that's great.
that's my lawn signs. Believe in Steve.
That's a good one. I like it. I like that
Yeah.
one.
Here's a little known secret which drives Danny nuts.
Okay.
His daughter has a Believe in Steve sticker on her laptop.
That's
I
great.
think she does it just to tweak them, but it does tweak them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
See, that's good fun. You can agree to disagree, but you get the job done. You
yeah,
know.
definitely.
So good stuff. So thanks for being your voice. Thanks for doing what you're doing in Rensselaer County. It's really a great place that is really sprung alive. And I hope that it keeps continuing. I wish you continued success.
Thank you.
So you have a great time. This is our guest today, Steve McLaughlin. He's a Rensselaer County Executive. They've got tons of stuff to do this summer. Check it out. Go online, visit them, pick up a guide. We're looking forward to a beautiful summer in the region. And Rensselaer definitely has great stuff going on. So Steve, thank you so much for your time. You enjoy the rest of spring. Have a great summer. And I know I'll see you around, so I'm looking forward to catching up more in person.
Absolutely. Had a great time. I'll come back anytime.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. That's my time. I'm your host, Greg Idella. Take care.